Okay, hello everyone. It's time for history lessons all over again. I have no idea what day of home-based learning this is going to be on. But anyway, let's continue. So as usual, make sure you have all your notes, writing materials, lighting, sleep, food. Please eat more vegetables, do more push-ups, everybody. Home-based learning doesn't mean you don't exercise. Alright? Please remember that all the materials are on Google Drive. You should be able to access them in Google Classroom, so on and so forth. Hope life is treating you well so far. So anyway, let's continue. We are talking about Hitler's rule. How does it affect Nazi Germany? Not just the whole country, but also other people. Okay. And where were we? We looked at political impact, economic impact. So today we are going to start on social impact. Social, that is to do with, of course, society, different aspects of society, as you can see, propaganda and censorship, not citizenship. This affects everyone. Okay, so this is how we're going to structure it. Propaganda and censorship affects everyone, along with the rise of secret police. Whereas for persecution of minorities as well as women and children, we are looking at specific groups of people. So we are in this lesson, we're going to look at the mass group of people first. Okay. So just a quick recap before we do anything. Hold on, let me try to clear my annotations. Remember that politics affects the economy. Economic policies affect the people, which we saw on effect on workers. But as well, we cannot forget that whatever is done politically will affect the people of society as well. Okay, so we're gonna look at propaganda. So now, if you follow with me on your hard copy notes, you will see that there are four different things. We're gonna start on propaganda and censorship. But I thought that before we start, as usual, we need to learn some English, right? It's valuable to do a quick etymology lesson. We always talk about this word, propaganda, and I know you guys always say, "Oh, yeah, but everything is propaganda. Social studies textbook, history textbook, all of this is propaganda." Um, well, to some extent, yes, but I think the point of a good education is to enable you to see the nuances of what is and what is not propaganda. More importantly, what should you believe? Okay, if all you're gonna say is, "Oh yeah, this word is propaganda," I think that kind of misses the point of education. So anyway, where does the word propaganda come from? It's actually from Italian, so I have no idea how to pronounce it. Latin. Okay, so it comes from the original. Historically, the group of cardinals, which is the Catholic clergy, they came together and said, how can we get more people to believe in what we believe in, which is the propagation of the faith. Propagation coming from the word propagate, obviously, which is to multiply. So if you think about it, if we put it together, if what is to propagate the faith means to multiply the faith, right? Did I expect? Oh my goodness, I spelled it wrongly. Okay, spell it correctly yourself. I don't know how to erase it. Multiply whatever you believe in. Therefore, propaganda is I'm going to spell it correctly. The multiplication and the growth of belief. Okay, that is the aim of propaganda. So we need to think about what you actually believe in. Okay, so that is what we're going to talk about. When we use propaganda, okay, when you talk about it in, at least in the history curriculum, we must remember we are specifically referring to information of a biased and misleading nature. It is important to take note of this. Not every single thing is propaganda, okay? Biased and misleading nature. And it is used to promote a certain political cause. So there are two sets of criteria here, which you must satisfy before you can call something as propaganda. Okay, so of course Hitler is going to make use of propaganda, which is designed to make him look like a great leader, designed to make the Nazi party look good, correct? To convince people to continue to support him. And to this end, there is a ministry of propaganda, just like how we have a ministry of water resources and manpower, things like that. Hitler has a ministry for it. Who is the Nazi minister for propaganda? You should know that is Joseph Goebbels. Please spell his name correctly. His name is, okay, I don't know the German pronunciation, but it is not Goebbels. He does not gobble his food. It's Joseph Goebbels. Okay, so of course, it is to convince people to support him. Please go and read up on what are the Nuremberg rallies. I'm not going to go through it. Go and read through it yourself. Okay. So we know what propaganda is. The next question is, of course, how did Hitler use it? What do all these things do? Okay. Well, the Ministry of Propaganda communicates the following messages. Let's have a look at the messages and think about why are these messages so appealing. These are the messages that Hitler has been using from the very start. Okay. So there's an appeal for greater German unity and order. Why? Remember that in order for you to want to listen to something, you must have experienced something terrible before. So this German unity and order is because of the weakness of the Weimar government, right? There's no weak government. Therefore, of course, people want a strong government. The idea of a brighter future and a more prosperous Germany, that we want a greater country. In fact, Hitler has this idea of a greater Germany. Okay, we'll look at that more in the next chapter. And the savior of Germany. You know, all this seems to suggest that there was something wrong with Germany, which is, of course, this comes from the shame of World War One, as well as the Treaty of Versailles. Okay. And of course, Hitler makes use of all this racist, anti-communist, remember the Reichstag fire, and anti-Semitic. Anti-Semitic is anti-Jewish. And he's using all these people as scapegoats, right? As targets, okay? And why? Because it's easy to bully the minority. I mean, just think about it, lah. You and I both know that this is true. Except Hitler is doing it on a national scale, which is really quite horrific, isn't it? That is why it is important for us, even though you might not be of voting age yet, to really look at policy carefully so that you understand what is the root ideology behind that policy. I mean, a lot of policy will be couched nicely, but you really need to think about what is the underlying message that they are sending. Okay, that is a skill you should come away with when we are studying history. Anyway, back to propaganda. What is the big deal? It stirs up nationalistic sentiments. That is to say, that you support your own country. So in this case, it's pro-German. Okay, nationalistic does not mean pro-German. It means to support your own country. Okay, so of course Germans are gonna like this. I mean, who doesn't, right? But you must remember that all the minorities are going to suffer as a result of this. Okay. So going to show you some sources. This is a standard Nazi political rally. And look at these. This is the SS rune. This is of course the swastika. And it's all very militarized, very orderly. Please notice that these are children. Okay, so what is the messaging here? Look, we're strong, we're orderly. Come support us. Okay, and let's have a look at how Hitler is portrayed in German media. Okay, pictures that are published. Look at him. He's receiving flowers from school children who are, of course, well, shall we say, innocent, charming, even though I don't know how innocent and charming you guys are. And if you notice, there's always flowers, and Hitler's always smiling, and he seems like he's on good terms with everybody, and the children are not afraid of him. Yeah, which is a good sign, right? Like, you wouldn't think that an adult who is liked by children is threatening. Okay. Same thing here. He is seen as, you look at the children are doing the Nazi salute. Whether they are forced to in this photo, we don't know. Okay, then Hitler looks approvingly at this young man in this uniform and his younger brother, who seems to be looking on enviously. Remember that all these pictures are carefully selected and published. Okay, doesn't mean they're true. Okay, so think about it. Okay, we have propaganda. Propaganda alone is not enough. Okay, now truly effective political manipulation comes about when I give you a message that I want you to read, and I don't allow you access to anything else. Why? It's very simple. If there's only one chicken rice stall in the whole of the canteen, then you only know about this one chicken rice stall. You are going to think it's the best. If I allowed like 3 other chicken rice stalls, obviously you would know that my first chicken rice stall, chicken rice A, is not the only available option. Okay. So let's think about it. What is censorship? Censorship is the suppression, to press down, or prohibition. I do not allow any kinds of things which are obscene, politically unacceptable, things like that. So which is quite reasonable. We know that Singaporean censorship laws are strict, which is a good thing, but think about it. Obscene and politically unacceptable. Who is it defined by? This is defined by the state. So obscene in Nazi terms. So any communist ideas are automatically obscene, as an example. Okay. So propaganda promotes what Hitler advocates. Advocates, please go and find out what advocate means. Censorship removes everything else. Okay. Please have a look at the textbook. In examples are always useful for essay writing. Okay. How do we know? We have this thing called the Reich Chamber of Commerce. Now, it sounds like it's about business and things like that, but it's not. Okay, it's controlling media. So literature, even stories, comics, art, music, every single thing. Remember I told you about Triumph of the Will? I think it's available on YouTube, but I mean, you can have a look, but I don't suggest you watch the whole thing. I think it's like more than 2 hours long. Okay. So what's the whole point about propaganda and censorship? Okay, now we're at analysis. Okay, when my whole society is like that, remember Hitler had control of all the radios and the big industrialists, right? He can control what is being printed. So once you can control things, then you can choose what the public consumes. Okay, and it solidifies Hitler's control. I use the word solidify because then it becomes more concrete. He's getting greater control. No alternative views are allowed. Okay, so this is a huge negative because it's a huge loss of freedom. Okay, personal freedoms, a loss of expression. This is of course a negative impact on the German people. Okay, very clear, right? So now let's talk about the rise of the secret police. Okay, now secret police. What have we looked at before? I guess a good analogy would be the Kempeitai, which we studied in the Japanese occupation. Okay. But why do you need secret police? So if you look at it, the Nazis set out to create this thing called a totalitarian state, okay, which means total control. Okay, you can guess from the word totalitarian. Okay, which means that the government is centralized. That means there's no like smaller little sections of the government. Centralized means that Hitler is like the spider at the middle of the web. Okay, let's give him a mustache. And he is here, and like the webs of government are just going out, and everybody else is here. Okay, and everybody has to listen to him. Okay, it is dictatorial. Okay, my spider is quite cute, isn't it? And it requires complete subservience. Subservience means that I am complete obedience. Okay, nearly like a slave. Okay, but censorship and propaganda is not enough. I need violence. Sometimes, Hitler. There are people who fight back. So Hitler has people to take them out. Okay, we already know what the SS is and the Gestapo. Okay, so the Gestapo is what we're going to look at. The secret police is called the Gestapo. Here, okay, and they were running the concentration camps, which I'm going to talk about in the next lecture. Okay, and the Gestapo, they are responsible for finding and removing threats. This sounds reasonable. I mean, If I have a terrorist, of course I should take him out. But you see, the problem is, who defines terrorists? The Gestapo are the ones, right? So this is the danger. They have great power. The dangerous thing is unlimited authority. You know, Emperor Palpatine says, power, unlimited power. Okay. So they can arrest people in any way they want. They can sentence victims, which means that basically, as long as I suspect you, I can arrest you. Which is pretty disturbing, isn't it? If you think about it, it means I have person A, person B, and person C. All person A has to do is to say something bad about person B, report it to the local Gestapo, and the Gestapo next day will remove person B. Hey, one less business competitor. Oh, hey, no business competitors. Hey, the Gestapo like me. So all this is not very good, is it? Okay. And their modes of operation, modus operandi. Okay, modus operandi is Latin for mode of operation. Okay, it means how they do things: torture, blackmail, okay, murder, all these kind of things. All right. The truth is probably worse than whatever we can imagine. As you can imagine, living in such an environment is no good. So how we express it is a climate of fear, which is obviously a negative social impact. Okay. So yes, Hitler consolidates his rule, but this is not good at all for the German people. Okay, so we can see that Hitler's rule is really getting quite nasty. So that's the end for now. And that is where we will end for today. No joke, because I mean, it's pretty grim, isn't it? Okay, see you. Oh, shucks.